Okay, good evening, everybody. Bear with us. We're just getting through a couple technical things just to get the live stream up and running, make sure that's running full steam, and then we'll get started. Yes, Mr. Smith, can you hear us okay? Okay. Just real quick here before we start the meeting and Ms. Berthoud calls roll, and we call this to order. Just real quick, if we don't mind doing a quick sound check. Janelle, can you check your microphone, please?
Mayor Dewey.
Thank you. Jamie?
Hi, everyone.
Mr. Vick?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. And Mr. Smith? Sounds like Mr. Smith, can you hear us? Okay, Mr. Sherwood, can we hear you? Looks like you're frozen.
But it is spotty.
Go ahead, Sydney. Can we hear you?
Mayor Dewey.
Yep, I can hear you. Thank you very much. The only one we're having trouble hearing is Mr. Smith.
Would
Are
you
able
like
to hear us,
me
sir? Oh, he jumped
to reach
out.
out to him and ask him to restart?
Yeah, it looks like he jumped out. If you don't mind contacting him and seeing if you can help walk him through into the system, that would be great. And bear with us. This is probably the most people we've had on Zoom for quite some time. So
Brandon,
yes.
I do see that Mr. Luddington is not on there yet.
Oh, that's because he's Julie's laptop. There we go. Thank you
Now
for
that
bringing
makes
that
sense.
to my attention. There's Paul. Paul, can you hear us okay? We'll give you a chance to connect. Paul, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Wonderful, thank you. We're just waiting for one more to jump on. Jamie's working on that for us.
He's gonna get out and then re-enter and see if that fixes the problem. It seemed to work when Sydney did that, so we're gonna start there.
Okay, great. We'll give him a chance to jump in and then we'll get started. Thanks for being patient, everyone. We can see you, Miss. We cannot hear you. Can you hear us? see.
He's not able to hear us, Brandon. I'm going to have him unmute and see if he can hear us or if we can hear him. So hang
Okay,
tight.
sounds good. And if he needs to call in, we may go that route as well. We have that availability.
Brandon,
Yes.
he did mention to me on the phone today that he would be using his phone to do this, not a computer. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not, but
Okay, sounds good. And I do see a phone that just jumped on.
Hey, Brandon, where would the phone number be
Yes.
for him to call in?
The phone number to call in is area code 253-215-8782. He'll need a meeting ID. That's
That number.
821. Sorry, say that again. Jamie, what I'm going to do is type it into
Nope.
the chat for you. That'll be faster.
Also, too, I just got an email saying that someone's having issues using the public comment link on our website.
Please redial the number with the prefix 1 before the area code.
I received your email, Janelle. Thank you for that test.
I got that email as well. I'm thinking that the email that I got from the person was concerning the link that's on the agenda, which is taking me to a 404 error page.
I just went back to the special meeting for 11:20, and that public link is working. So I apologize for tonight's not coming through.
Jamie,
Yes, I hear you.
hello?
Hello.
Okay, it looks like, hello,
Brandon, can you hear Wally?
hello, Brandon.
Yes, I can. I can hear him well. Thank you.
Yay!
Okay, well, we got that good.
Very good. And I had some issues on my end. So it appears I'm muted, but I am not. I joined through the phone call and the audio is much better on my end as well. So we just had some glitches on the screen here. Again, thanks
You don't
everyone.
need, yeah, you've probably seen what I look like, so that's good enough.
Yeah, if we saw you once, as long as you haven't changed, be okay.
Yeah, I haven't changed, we're good. You don't want to look at me anyway, it's ugly.
Janelle, are you okay on your end then?
Yes, I'm going to respond to the individuals that are responding about no public comment link not working and have them use the public comment link from the last meeting. So we should be fine.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds good. It looks like we're live on our YouTube and Facebook streams. We appreciate those viewers being patient with us as we kind of get the logistics of all this sorted out. And so with that, know that our telephone system is working in terms of getting folks logged on there. And Janelle is taking public comment through our previous meeting public comment form. That will go forward to the council just the same, and we will receive those and make sure that those are made part of the record. So with that, I'm going to hit record. Okay, so we will officially now, thanks again for your patience, call to order the special town council meeting for Monday, November 30th, 2020. Ms. Bertha, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Devlin?
Here.
Councilmember Vick?
Here.
And Mayor Dewey?
Here. All right, thanks, Janelle. Tonight's agenda, primarily the purpose is for you folks to address the vacancies left in the first and second wards. On the call tonight, we have the candidates from the application process that we've undertaken so far. The first item after a roll call and our call to order is that of public comment from citizens on items that are not on tonight's agenda. I don't know as though we have anyone on the phone tonight right now. We'll give you a second to hit *9 and raise your hand if you wish to make public comment on items not listed on tonight's agenda. Okay. There are two items of correspondence that we received in advance of publishing the agenda for the council's review, both being public comment, one from Sue Devlin and the other from Sharon G. As we receive public comment, we'll make sure that that is also uploaded as it's available and sent to the council. But those two pieces of correspondence we received in advance and are in your packet to town council and available on the town council or on the town's website as part of the packet for your review. Any questions on that from council? Very good. With that then, we'll get to the main event in tonight's meeting, and that is the unfinished business town council vacancies in Ward 1 and Ward 2. You have 4 candidates tonight to interview. Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin, I hope you both received the compiled questions that you folks sent to the office.
I did.
Okay, and Jamie got yours as well? Okay, wonderful. So you have those questions before you. The way this has worked traditionally is that we've allowed, although we've been in person, we've allowed the town council to bounce back and forth between the two of you asking the questions. We don't necessarily have a set procedure as to which candidate gets to go first. I think traditionally we've just pulled them alphabetically by last name. Is that okay with council, or do you have an order you'd like to proceed with?
I'm fine with alphabetically.
Okay, we'll go You're okay with that, Dempsey? Sorry, I talked over you. Okay, wonderful. We'll go alphabetically by last name. The way that this will work is we will place those of you who are not being actively interviewed into the waiting room. We just ask that while you're sitting in the waiting room for the Zoom call, that you don't jump over to the live stream and watch the interview of your opponents. We like to keep this as fair of a process as possible and not give any insight into what the questions are ahead of time. I will warn you, these interviews could be a little lengthy. We have 16 questions that the town council put together to ask tonight, and so we are in this for the long haul, we can take breaks in between candidates as needed. Being here virtually, most of us, or you folks, are in the comfort of your homes anyway, so we'll move along. So if there aren't any questions from anyone on the Zoom call, everybody's okay? All right. Then what I'm going to do is place some folks in the waiting room, with the exception of Miss Allen. She'll remain on the main Zoom call, and then we'll call you back forward. If for some reason you get disconnected and it's your turn to go, Janelle will reach out to you and get you back onto the Zoom call in time for your interview. So don't worry if you get disconnected or step away and miss something, we'll get back with you. So with that, we're going to start rolling people out. We'll see how this goes. All right. I think we only have the people we need to have. Wonderful. Okay, so you have the interview candidate in the second ward, Sydney Allen. With that, Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin, you may want to go ahead and just unmute yourselves for the duration of the interview so you can speak freely. From this point, I'm more or less just a facilitator. So I'll leave the interview to you folks to bounce on questions and decide how you want to move forward.
Good evening, Sydney.
Want to start?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start here real quick.
Good to see you again, Sydney.
You can unmute yourself if you like.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening.
I am so glad I've finally been able to give somebody permission to speak. Well, as you know, we have 16 questions and whatnot. Since we're not in person, I think it might be best if you start by stating your name and your address for the record, and then we'll go on to the questions.
Okay. Sydney Allen, 419 Riverside.
Okay, and on to the first question. Why do you feel, well, this is actually like a two-part first question. Why do you feel you should be appointed to serve the vacant council seat, and why are you the best candidate to represent the people of your ward?
So as a young person, I feel like I really understand the pulse of this town. I haven't been a Stevensville resident for an extended period of time, but I feel like my partner and I really truly represent Stevensville citizens. So we moved to this community because it's truly what we could comfortably afford. And I think that represents a lot of the constituents in Ward 2. So just as a member of this ward, we represent the young population of Stevensville because we aren't people that have lived here for years and years and years. We're people coming to this town to make a life for ourselves and to build this community alongside building our own lives together. And I feel like I would be the right person for the job because I'm reliable. I'm really good at listening. I'm empathetic and sympathetic. And I think I just do a really great job representing the young pulse of this town. So looking at the population in Stevensville and understanding the growth of the population, most of the growth comes from that 18 to 44. And right now, Stevensville needs something new. The last year, I got really interested in this position when I overheard meetings about protecting or recalling the mayor. And I just got very invested in this process. And I think I'd be the right candidate because I'm lively, I'm something new, and I'm willing to listen to all the people in this town. I don't have deep-seated roots in this community that really have, I guess I don't have entanglements, you might say, with old issues. And I think that that's what this town needs. It needs something new. We need someone to liven it up and to really represent this community. Yeah.
What's your understanding of the role of town council and individual members?
My understanding is to just be a representative. So to represent the people of Ward 2, to help in decision making. So something that really called my attention was an issue that came up probably right as I moved into town with a local business. Somebody wanted it as a shop, and understanding that there was a parking issue with this shop and really understanding both sides. So I understand, I mean, I'm not in the financial standing where I could buy a beautiful shop and make it my hobby, but I have a partner that, given the opportunity, he would. And so understanding both sides, also understanding that, so there's this person that really wants to build a hobby shop, and there's someone, the townspeople who don't want this town to turn into a ghost town. So just hearing both sides of the argument and really making the choice that's the best for the people and representing. So I think in the past, I think that Stevensville has struggled with kind of what I referenced before, just representing your pot of people. And that's not what a council member does. So as part of this council team, just representing the people of Stevensville and moving Stevensville forward.
What do you hope to accomplish in your time as a council member?
Just like bringing young people to this town. So really, I think this town has so much to offer, which is why we decided to plant roots in this town. I think that there's a lot to offer in this town. I'm really invested in this new splash pad that's coming to town. I'm a teacher. So just making this a place where people want to come and set roots. I'm really proud to say that I live in Stevensville. And I know all the great reasons to live here. There's lots of historic buildings. There's these really great, there's just so much historical significance in Stevensville. So just keeping that legacy going and carrying on the voice of the younger generation. So like, for instance, I love that like there's a flip the switch contest, like a coloring contest, things like that. Just making this a really fun place to be, because it is.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to Stevensville businesses?
I think one of the biggest concerns right now is obviously the pandemic, surviving this pandemic. Local businesses need our help. So just getting them through this pandemic. Obviously, people aren't doing as much shopping. People are a little nervous to go out to dinner. So just keeping them afloat. Also hearing their concerns in a Stevensville business, just hearing their concerns that in addition to the their economic standing, but hearing their concerns to get people. So that issue that I referenced earlier, parking, things like that. So just kind of the logistics of getting people in their businesses. And lastly, making sure that they are really heard in this town and that their voices matter, because they are what helps our town thrive. So helping with, finances, getting things all, how can I best say this? Just being able to maintain a business here. So financially, helping them survive this pandemic.
Sorry, that's my bad. What experience do you have dealing with large budgets and strategic planning?
I don't have a lot of experience dealing with budget. I only have experience dealing with my own personal budget. However, I am a teacher, and teachers are called to action. They are given a problem and they're told to solve it. And I do that well. I meet people where they are. I meet things where they are. I can meet a budget where it is. And I can help allocate those funds properly.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to the Stevensville community?
First and foremost, divisiveness. I think we have seen, actually as an entire country, we've seen divisiveness, but just moving Stevensville back to a community that doesn't, it's so heartbreaking when you hear of someone say, there's so much nepotism in Stevensville, there's so much this in Stevensville. So creating unity, bringing that unity back to the town of Stevensville. A sense of community. I do think we have a great sense of community, but I think there's room for improvement. And that's what, when I speak of like wanting family things to do, I don't have a family, I don't have children, I have a family, but I'm a 3rd grade teacher. So I have young kids in my class and I want them to have, I don't teach in Stevensville, but knowing the importance of having children in our community, playing in our community, a splash pad in our community. So unity, community, and a cohesiveness, I guess. So just operating cohesively, meaning that businesses are thriving. People are going into those businesses. We're shopping locally. And I think all of those things go together so well. And I think Stevensville has all those. I don't want to say that Stevensville is lacking all of this, because it's not at all. It just needs something more.
This right here is probably going to be your favorite question out of all of them. What is your understanding of the budget and the budget process? And are there ways in which it can be improved? If so, please explain.
Oh man. That's hard to answer because I don't know. However, I am a person that's paid, but I'm the result. I have a taxpayer job. And so I understand how important it is to really carefully allocate the budget, and just making sure that the different departments in our town have the funds that they need, and if they don't, getting them where they need to be. So fundraising, things like that. But I don't truly understand how to, I've never worked with the city budget, but again, I'd be willing to learn quickly.
So what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
I'm really approachable. So if you know who I am, you know that I will talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I think that's so important in a council person. I really do care about this town. And the reason I chose to apply for this position is because I want Stevensville to move forward and I want their council members to represent their wards. I think I've witnessed what can happen when people are representing their own, they're not upholding, their own personal agendas. And so I would say my strengths are definitely that I'm approachable, I'm empathetic, I'm sympathetic, I'm reliable, and I'm willing to learn and grow. As a teacher, I'm always learning new things, and I'm always learning more. My weaknesses are that I'm probably overly passionate. I think it's hard not to be passionate in these things, government right now as a whole. But I am just overly passionate about the purpose of government being for the people and by the people, and ensuring that young people are voting and young people are part of their town. So I would say that that's my weakness. I also don't like public speaking, but you told me, Jamie, if you just do it, this is a good exercise.
All right. What skills, abilities, and or knowledge do you bring to the table that will help facilitate a positive, productive working relationship between the council, the mayor, staff, and the community?
That's a big question. I have really good communication. So I'm good at listening and I'm good at discussing. I understand, or I know how to listen and I know how to respond and interact. And I think that being someone that is willing to learn and willing to listen and willing to communicate is someone that this town needs. I don't have council experience, but I don't think that that disqualifies me from this position. I think that this council needs something new, and I think it needs somebody that wants to communicate and learn new things and really just focus on the good of this town. And overall, I'm positive and just eager to help and willing to go the extra mile. And that's what this town needs. It just needs some caring citizens to push it up and push it forward.
How do you work to build a consensus in dealing with divisive issues and resolving conflict? Sorry.
I think it's really important to listen to people. So I've mentioned that several times, but I think that I understand that people's views are a result of their experiences, and just understanding that we have come from a really, really divisive, nasty town in the last few months. And while I don't agree with the things that have been said, and I don't partake in that division, I understand that those people have beliefs, and those beliefs are, they're not, I don't want to say they're accurate, because that's, again, my personal thinking, but they have weight. I mean, they carry meaning. Looking at the results of this recall of the mayor, it was close. And I think so. I think that it's just important to think about what those people are thinking and why they voted that way, and to really remedy those reasons. So again, I don't agree with the things that have been said, but I also don't, just hearing that why they think those things and hearing those personal experiences. So once you've listened to those personal experiences and empathize with them, I think that's the path to moving forward, hearing those people, and just really, how would you say, validating them, I guess you might say, and then remedying them. Validate and remedy.
We value accountability. If a citizen sent a formal complaint about an interaction with you, how would you handle it?
I would acknowledge that person, and the council as a whole, and just respond with my experience. I can't really think of any negative. I'm a really positive, kind person, and I don't believe in, conflict naturally arises, but I'm not confrontational naturally. And so I don't really think that would, I can't really think of a time when conflict arose and negative comments were given about me ever, but just responding to the council as a whole, to the people of Stevensville, and to that person, and making things right. Typically, it's just a misunderstanding. But I think it's important as a I think it's important as a representative of a ward to make sure that the people you represent also understand what happened. So maybe there's two sides to every story. So just being upfront.
If appointed, what are 3 steps you would take to put the town in a firmer financial position?
To ensure that town is in a firmer financial situation, I would look at the budget with the other council members, find pieces of the budget that can be reallocated, or just add, move funds around to give the sectors of the community what they need. Did you say 3 things? Okay, so just reallocating funds in the budget. I think that there's definitely ways you can reallocate that money. Fundraising in the town, I think that would be helpful. Holding community events. And I don't know, that's 2.
If you can't think of another one, you can't think of
Yeah,
another
the budget is not going to be my strong suit.
one. And on to more money mumbo jumbo type of stuff here. The town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
Can you read that question again?
The town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
I think that is a really transparent way to show the need for money and how money is being allocated. So I think that the town could use that to help local businesses be more successful, and just really give the town a pulse of spending. So what does our town need? Where are the deficits? And how can we remedy those deficits?
If you were not appointed, what would you do to try and help work on the town's business in positive, productive ways?
Because I'm a teacher, I'm super passionate about the civic club. So I want, and I've already put in to be a part of the splash pad. I really want to focus on the family life of Stevensville. So it's a pandemic world right now. So the volunteer opportunities are a little bit slim, and I work in a classroom. So I try and limit my exposure, but I'm really excited for the civic club and the future of the children in this town. So just adding more community activities for kids. And just mainly being an active participant in this town. So being constituent, listening to these meetings, and ensuring that our town is moving forward. Overall, I think that all 4 people that applied for this job, more than anything, just want to see the town succeed and move forward and breathe some new life into this place.
if you are appointed, how will you solicit input from citizens in your ward?
I'm out and about in the town anyway, and I think just continuing to talk to the townspeople. I am very good at listening. I'm very good at meeting new people. I will talk to anybody. I'll talk to somebody in the grocery store. So just really focusing on meeting the neighbors around this town. This town's small. So just getting outside and speaking to the people that you come across. I think that the people of this town that really matter don't always have the loudest voices. And so hearing those voices, I want to represent the people. And represent the people that do more than comment on Facebook pages and comment on this and that, and hear those people, but hear the people in their yards and they're around town as well.
Okay, last question. When you hear about something that concerns you in our town, what steps do you take to investigate the concern? And if determined to be legitimate, what do you do to see that it is resolved?
I am a big advocate of research. So anytime there's any sort of affair that involves me, I research the action as a whole. So more than just who's saying it or why it's being, but the action as a whole. And just being really understanding why it's affecting me, and then to the action steps to remedy that would just be going to council meetings, writing in comments, and just sharing my concerns with council members and the people of this town to see that it does get remedied. And also just being a part of that team that does take on, if it's something that I can do, I'm always more than happy to do it myself. Sometimes the easiest way to get something done is to just do it yourself. So typically when it's a town concern, it's a little bit bigger than just one person, but identifying the action steps and getting them done.
Thank you very much, Sydney.
All right. Are there any follow-up questions from the town council on Ms. Allen's interview?
No, I was just going to ask Sydney if she had any questions for us.
Can I just go into the waiting room and turn on, do you want me to stay? When will this decision?
So what I'll do, Sydney, the council is scheduled tonight to nominate and make appointments following the interviews. So we do expect that. What I can do is place you in the waiting room, and then you could probably go do your grocery shopping even by the time we're done. And by the time you get back, we'll be ready for you. If we let you out, I'll let you know, we're gonna put you in the waiting room. If you drop the call, you can always try to rejoin. And if we, for some reason, don't see you on the call at the end of the interviews, the town clerk will touch base with you just to make sure that you're not having any problem getting on. You maybe just decided to move on for the evening. So yeah, you can definitely welcome to stick around. You'll just be in the waiting room through the rest of the interviews. And then when we come up to nomination and appointments, we'll open up the meeting again.
Okay.
Okay. All right. No further questions from anybody? All right. Thanks, Sydney. We'll boot you over to the waiting room.
I have just one hot second, Brandon.
You bet. Why don't we take a quick break? It'll take me a second to get everybody rearranged anyway. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Give us just a moment. Ms. Devlin needed a brief minute, and Mr. Vick will be right back, and then we'll continue on with the interview. We didn't wake you up, did we?
No. I took a nap
Very
early.
good. Perfect. Okay, looks like we're just waiting for Mr. Vick, and we'll be off and running.
I'm here just waiting for the camera to kick back on.
Okay, no problem. We can give it a second. Great. All right, I'll introduce you to Mr. Ludington. Like before, you received location in advance. Paul, I really am just here as a facilitator. I'll go off camera in a second and leave the interview to Ms. Devlin and Mr. Vick, and they'll alternate the 16 questions they have to ask you. Take it away, you guys.
So Paul, can you please state your full name and your address?
My name is Paul E. Ludington. I live at 208 College Street.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll get started here. Why do you feel you should be appointed to serve the vacant council seat? And why are you the best candidate to represent the people of your ward?
You know, I realized after all the things that you guys have been through that this might be an opportunity for me to be able to step in and kind of help show my concern and passion for the town. You are probably both aware that I was on the council for 8 years. I was also mayor for a brief period of time. I have been involved with just about everything to do with the town that there is, planning and zoning. I was on the airport board. I was helped out with the park board for a while, familiar with public works. So I thought that maybe some experience would help you guys get up to speed. I know that there's a lot of things that you guys need to get done.
What is your understanding of the role of town council and individual members?
You know, we are really empowered with being able to assist the community and especially the town in making sure that we have the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens at the forefront of what we are trying to do. Try to make sure that we are always keeping them in our actions so that we are able to complete the tasks that are necessary in order to keep the town functioning and healthy.
What do you hope to accomplish in your time as a council member?
You know, I think that, like I said, there's a lot of things that are on your agenda that have probably not gotten the kind of attention that they should have, all across the spectrum, that I feel that I can help the town get a handle on. Some of that stuff is takes some experience. It took me a couple of years to get up to speed with the budget. And I feel like I still have a handle on what's going on with the town budget. I was also involved with Creekside when it first started being developed, and now you have another big development on the horizon, right next to another development, which is going to cause some need for some interesting consensus and compromise on all parties.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to Stevensville's businesses?
Well, we are in unprecedented times. I think that I think probably the biggest thing is for the town, for the business to feel like they're being supported by the town. I was, in my time on the council, I was often frustrated that the town didn't support the businesses more than they did. I think that they need our support, especially now. They need to know that that we are also there to represent them, and that their needs are important to the town to be able to make sure that it can continue to be a viable community. Without those, we really aren't anything other than a post office and a fire department. So we need the businesses. We need to support them. We need to listen to what they have, what their concerns are.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to the Stevensville's community?
Probably the number one concern has to be money. We're always concerned about our taxes, and we're always concerned about where that money is going to. I think it's important for a town to be accountable to its citizens. Small government is what really kept us going as a country. Without that, we really don't have, because there's so many things that we don't have a choice about. That's the thing that we do have a choice about. So we have to be able to explain where that money is going to. I also think that the public welfare, as far as the police and the fire department and emergency services, are pretty important to this town. And we do a good job at it, and we need to make sure that we support those as well. I know that in the past, the relationship between the emergency services, whether it be the police department, the fire department, has been tenuous. That is something that's a concern for the citizen. I also think that, infrastructure is important. Most people don't know anything about it anymore. You ask kid where the water comes from and what happens when you flush the toilet, they have no idea. So I think that's something that we need to continue to give an importance to for the citizen.
What experience do you have dealing with large budgets and strategic planning?
Well, like I say, I was on the council for 8 years. We did a lot of, that was when we first converted from the old paper ledger system to Black Mountain. It was a huge struggle. We worked on it for months and months. I did participate in a couple of workshops with Black Mountain at that time to help us figure out what all that budgeting meant. I think part of that was when Gene Mimek was mayor, and when Bill Perrin was on the council, and really digging down with detail as to what the line items meant, what they were used for, and how we accounted for them, and how we really got to fine lines about what's being spent here and what's being spent there, and whether we need to support that or try to combine it with something else, or find out that we're really not spending that money that we had allotted for X, Y, and Z. We should be using it over here in A, B, and C. So I'm often surprised when I look at the budget for the school that it is significantly smaller. Not dollar wise, but category wise than the town's is. You should be proud of yourselves as council people being able to decipher that thing, because it's pretty in depth. There's a lot to it. A lot, unlike other municipal budgets that I've seen, like for the airport or the school. So there's a lot to it, and it takes a lot of time to try to get everything squared away and straightened out.
What is your understanding of the budget and the budget process? We just kind of went through that a little bit. Are there ways in which it can be improved? And if so, please explain.
I think that we need to humanize parts of it so that people actually know that this particular part of the budget is to go for this particular thing. One of the things that people have asked me about before is, what does it mean when they put O&M on your utility bill? And what does O&M mean? And what do you do with that money? And how is it? Same thing with the bond that the town has. Same thing with how we're supporting the various departments within the town. And probably the biggest part of it to me is how are my taxes levied and where does that go in the budget? How does that show up and what happens? And I think there are ways that we can say, we all send our check to the county treasurer twice a year, and that money funnels into the town, and this is how much funnels in, and this is how it's done, even though it is ridiculously complicated. I think it's important to try to humanize that for people so that they can understand that, because you can't do it like this is your checkbook. That way doesn't make any sense. I've tried that.
What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Well, let's start with my weaknesses. My probably biggest weaknesses is I have no patience for stupid people, which is why I was mayor for such a short time. I don't have any patience for idiots. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm probably not going to have a lot of patience for stupid people, citizens or members of the council. I think we have a responsibility to try to do the best we can. If we don't know the correct answer or the correct question, then we need to make sure that we're trying to figure that out. There are ways to do that without being vicious or mean. We can figure things out. We can do things the right way. We can come to a consensus. We can agree to disagree. And that's probably one of my strengths. I don't really hold a grudge. I knew that I did, once I resigned as mayor, I knew I didn't want to have anything to do with those people, and I probably still don't. But that doesn't mean we can't have a conversation with them. There's, and I have had conversations with them, and there are still people in this town that I've dealt with in the past that I agree to disagree with, and we can still get along. I think probably my biggest strength is my experience. I've lived here 28 years now and seen a lot come and go. Some of the things within the town are a lot different than they used to be, and some are the same.
What skills, abilities, and/or knowledge do you bring to the table that will help facilitate a positive, productive working relationship between council, the mayor, staff, and the community?
I think the biggest problem that we've had in the past is I've spent some time thinking about this, is that we just don't know the right question to ask, and it makes us feel dumb that we don't know the right question to ask. So I would like to think that my experience will help me to try to understand what people don't understand and try to explain it to them in terms that they can understand, and try to do that to the best of my ability. And if they think that I'm being condescending or still can't understand it, then we have to agree to disagree. But I would like to think that given my experience, I can try to explain that to people so that they can get a better understanding.
How do you work to build a consensus in dealing with divisive issues and resolving conflict?
Well, you have to recognize that there's a difference of opinion, and that means that that's my opinion. It's not necessarily right, but it's my opinion, and I will try to support my opinion, and I have to be able to defend my opinion to be able to convince people that they can agree with that, or they can agree with a portion of that. And then I have to be able to do the same for their opinion. And, you know, we can all say because I said so to our kids, but we really can't say that to our peers. We can try to point out why we think that that is true, but we also need to be able to understand that people will look at you and say, no, you've misinterpreted that. So we have to be able to defend why we believe the way what our opinion is, and to understand that it's an opinion. My opinion is, and the way I believe is, this isn't, I mean, because of such and such rule or MCA thus and thus, you know, that will support my opinion, but that doesn't make everyone else wrong.
We value accountability. If a citizen sent a formal complaint about an interaction with you, how would you handle it?
I would think that, you know, first of all, you have to be able to understand that there are two sides to every story. My experience has led me to believe for a lot of those cases with things like that to not try to have those interactions by yourself, one-on-one, to try to make sure that there is someone else there. And if you can't do that, just do not try to get into too much of a situation where there isn't a neutral party there to try to hear what's going on, so that somebody else can say, well, I know that's what you said, but this is what I heard. That kind of reinforces so that it doesn't turn into he said, she said type of thing. I think in cases like that, you have to be able to understand why people are feeling the way they do. In my particular job, I get calls from parents who are upset because of something that has happened that they have more or less pinned on a bus or a bus driver, when really it doesn't have anything to do with that. There's all kinds of other things that are going on in their life, and they just need to vent. So you get somebody like that, okay, I understand. Yes, we'll do the best we can. I'm sorry that we weren't able to fulfill your needs the way you thought you should, that type of thing, so that they feel like they were heard. So, and then you need to be able to take that and share it with as many people as you can to make sure that you did what they have entrusted you to do, which is listen and try to react as best you can.
If appointed, what 3 steps would you take to put the town in a firmer financial position?
Well, I would probably the first thing to do would be to look at the last couple of audits that were done. Look and see where they have discovered soft spots in the budgetary process. Review where they are and take a look at what the clerks are doing as far as utility billing and paying bills and collecting receipts and that type of thing from town personnel. It's important to make sure that we are charging the right department for the bills that come in, dividing up charges between various departments accordingly, depending on how much work you're trying to do. One of the things I was trying to do when I was in the short time I was mayor was to make sure that when they did something other than their regular job, that they tried to account for those hours. If you're doing some work for the airport, keep track of that time. If you're carrying over, if you're doing utility billing and trying to help out with that during when somebody's gone, keep track of that time. So we can make sure that we're fair with how we are spreading the funds out. With enterprise funds, you have to be careful that you don't use those improperly. You have to spend those accordingly, protect the general fund.
town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
You know, in the past, we've had some great support from the Main Street Association and various groups that would do that type of thing for the town. I think I would like to think that there's some energy there from some individuals within the business community to try to delve into that and to try to help the town do what they can to support the small business, to find out what the townspeople would like to have, and see if we can try to do some recruiting. That was one of the things that I was involved in with the Main Street Association, was trying to recruit various businesses into town. When I was first involved with them, you know, we were looking for an eye doctor, trying to find another lawyer, and trying to find accountants and professionals to have in the town, which I think we have now. I also think that there's more opportunity for us to grow in the various other portions of the downtown business area to try to keep those buildings full. They pay a larger percentage of taxes toward the town than the residents do. So we have to be able to support them as far as what their infrastructure needs are. So I think that that's important for us to try to emphasize to the community and realize that that's one of the things that we will do to support them. I would like to see us get more variety of businesses, but I also understand that this is Montana. We don't walk to the convenience store, we drive. So we don't walk around downtown. We try to, I try to, but it's try to support the town businesses as best we can.
If you are not appointed, what would you do to try to help work on the town's business in a positive, productive way?
You know, I think that especially now in this era of COVID, we need to support the businesses within the town. My wife and I have kind of made a commitment that we'll try to do as much of that for Christmas season as we can. Try to shop at the small businesses. We support the grocery store, the drugstore, the bank, go to the local restaurants, go to the convenience stores. Try to support businesses as much as I can and continue to do so. We go to Missoula less and less. So do whatever we can to support the community in whatever way we can.
If you are appointed, how will you solicit input from the citizens in your ward?
Well, in my particular job, my phone is never off. So I'm perfectly willing to take phone calls from anyone within the town with a concern that they might have, and try to address that as best I can. I also feel that, when it comes time for changes that may impact various people, I might call on some of them and say, hey, this is what's happening. What do you think? So that I can kind of get the pulse of some of the people in my ward as to what's happening within the town that's going to affect it, directly or indirectly. So.
When you hear about something that concerns you in the town, what steps do you take to investigate the concern? And if determined to be legitimate, what do you do to see that it is resolved?
You got to talk to the mayor. As a member of the council, I think that's where our outlet is. If there's an issue with an employee of the town, there's a pothole or there's a street sign that's down or something like that, unfortunately, I firmly believe in chain of command. You got to talk to the mayor. He might be able to say, hey, can you can you let George know where that is or what's going on there? Yeah, I'm perfectly willing to do that. But my first point of contact is going to have to be the mayor.
All right, Mr.
Okay, that was
Ludington.
our last question. Were you saying something, Dempsey?
Yeah, I was going to ask him if I was pretty much stating what you were stating and pretty much asking him if he had any questions for us.
You guys going to decide tonight?
Yes.
Do I need to stay on?
Yes, we are.
Are you going to, do I need to stay on then? I mean, I'll stay on if you want me to.
So Paul, we'll bump you into the waiting room and you can just hang out there, do your thing for the rest of the evening. And we'll give everybody a chance to get back on when we're concluded with interviews. If we don't see you on the call, Janelle will give you a call on your phone just to double check that you want to be on and let you know that we've been done with the interviews. So entirely up to you.
Okay. I'll just hang out in the waiting room then.
Sounds good. I'm sorry we don't have any entertainment in that room for you, but it's the best.
That's not even green, man.
All
Thank
right,
you,
we'll
Paul.
bump Paul out. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Put in the waiting room. Okay, your next candidate is Patrick Short. Sorry, Dempsey, say that again.
I said that name sounds familiar.
Does council need a stretch break or anything? Are you guys ready to jump right in?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and knock it out.
Very good. Patrick, welcome onto the call here. The town council members, as you're familiar with, both Ms. Devlin and Dempsey, have 16 questions to run through with you. Feel free to unmute your device and join the call, and you can speak freely that way. The other candidate or other folks are unmuted as well. Patrick is a candidate in the second ward, and with that, I'll bow out and let the town council take the interview.
Hi, Patrick. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to see you again, Patrick. Since we're doing this virtually, would you mind stating your name and your address for the record?
Sure. My name is Patrick Short. I live at 507 Central Avenue, Stevensville, Montana.
All right, and on to question number 1. Why do you feel you should be appointed to serve the vacant council seat? And why are you the best candidate to represent the people of your ward?
Okay, I'll break that down into the 2 questions. I feel that I want to serve this community because this is where I want to raise my family. I think Stevensville is the best town in the Bitterroot, and I want to continue to move Stevensville forward. In regards to why I think I'm the best candidate for the position, I feel that I have a strong character, integrity, and accountability. I have no problem being accountable for the decisions I make, my actions, and the words I use.
Okay. I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end. Are you getting that as well, Jamie?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can scoot away from the mic.
I don't think it's,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's you or if it's feedback coming from Brandon's phone.
Okay.
What is your understanding of the role of town council and individual members?
I think the role of a town council member is to work with the professionals within the town, the chief of fire, the chief of police, the staff at town hall, to make the best possible decisions for the community, along with, of course, the Department of Water and George. I don't think it's a a one-man team when it comes to the council. I think everybody needs to work together collaboratively with everybody involved to make the best decisions.
What do you hope to accomplish in your time as a council member?
In regards to anything specific, I don't have anything specific that I look to accomplish. I look to continue to make Stevensville a place where businesses want to open and want to thrive, a place where families want to move to enjoy our community. Continue to make this a positive place for people to live.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to Stevensville's businesses?
Top 3 pressing concerns. Well, COVID being number 1. Number 2, I think, well, COVID-19 kind of, I think, played a huge role in getting people to our town. As you guys know, we have several events that happened throughout the fall, the spring, and the summer that didn't take place this year. And I think that had a great impact on the number of people coming to our town and spending their money.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to the Stevensville community?
Top 3 pressing concerns, water being one of them, the infrastructure of our water system and the needs that it has, not only current needs, but ongoing needs. Our water system is not something that can be just fixed with a new pump or some new pipes. It's something that has to be continuously funded throughout the years to replace parts that age, and that's going to be a continuous process. I think that's one of our major issues. Growth, I think, is another issue, and planning for that growth appropriately so our water system and our utilities can manage the growth.
What experience do you have dealing with large budgets and strategic planning?
Large budgets. I have a little bit of experience when I sat on the council last year. That budget was poured through laboriously. A lot of time was spent in it, and I feel like I learned a lot in that process. I'm certainly not one to say I know everything about the process. There are so many different facets, so many different things that needed to be funded, and the budget constraints being limited at times, I find it really challenging and a kind of exciting thing to explore. In regards to strategic plan, I don't have any experience, I'll be honest with that.
Okay, this next question kind of starts off with a restatement of the last one again, but it's also another 2-parter. What is your understanding of the budget and the budget process? And are there ways in which it can be improved? If so, please explain.
That's a tough question, Dempsey. My understanding is of the budget process as a whole is, I keep it in layman's terms, is we have a certain amount of money coming in. That money needs to be allocated to areas in which we need to support, whether it be the police department and new vehicles, or salaries within town hall and providing to those employees. In regards to the second part of the question, are you asking in regards to the town's budget? What do I think?
I think,
can you repeat the question?
The second part of the question is, are there ways in which it can be improved? And if so, please explain. And that would be the budget process.
The budget process. I wasn't involved in the budget process from the beginning, but ways that I feel like it can be most useful would be incorporating everybody involved, taking the opportunity to listen to all of those opinions, maybe creating priority lists and where money needs to be spent and what can wait till next year.
Okay, Patrick, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Strengths. I feel like I have a pretty cool head about me. I think I can take time to listen to opposing views, even if they oppose my own. I work really hard to understand the perspectives that other individuals are coming from. I feel like my weaknesses, something that I'm working at, is I don't speak up as often as I think I should. I find myself more reserved than I'd like to be.
What skills, abilities, and or knowledge do you bring to the table that will help facilitate a positive, productive working relationship between the council, the mayor, the staff, and the community?
I think I have the, like I just discussed before. I think I have the ability to listen to all and act as a mediator. I think every opinion is valuable and every person is valuable in the process. And yeah, I think that just taking into the process and respecting everybody involved is a skill that I have.
How do you work to build a consensus in dealing with the divisive issues and resolving conflict?
When it comes to resolving conflict or decisive issues, I really like to not focus on the emotion involved, but just focus on the facts. I remember there were quite a few issues that we ran into, and while there were a lot of different opinions and high emotions involved, just focusing simply on the facts and focusing on Montana code is the best way to resolve the issues. It's hard to argue with emotion.
We value accountability. If a citizen sent a formal complaint about an interaction with you, how would you handle it?
I would make sure that complaint is heard. I think it's very important if an individual has an issue with an interaction with me that it is brought to light, and I would gladly go through the process of fulfilling that individual's complaint.
If appointed, what are 3 steps you would take to put the town in a firmer financial position?
3 steps that I would take. I think that would have to start with the next budget session and taking a look at everything that's needed and what's not needed. Recently, I've been involved in an organization that has switched over to more of a lean model and looking at the organization as a whole and what is wasteful and what is necessary, and going through the budget and making sure that we're spending the taxpayers' money on what is necessary.
The town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
Can you repeat the question, Dempsey? Broke up a little bit.
The town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
A market research analysis in regards to what businesses would work best in the town. Just clarifying the question, Dempsey.
That's pretty much what it is an economic research or economic development research is what we did a market analysis for.
Mhm.
So how would we
I think
use?
it'd be very valuable to take that document into consideration when making decisions at the council table. I don't think it's something that would necessarily restrict or guide, or not guide, but demand our decisions, but it's certainly something to take into account.
If you are not appointed, what would you do to try to help work on the town's businesses in a positive, or sorry, the town's business in a positive, productive way?
Well, I think I'd continue to do what I already do, which is be supportive of the town and the decisions that they make. Be supportive of the council members, understand that their job is challenging, as well as the individuals that work in the town hall. Be a part of the community and participating in the council meetings.
Now, if you are appointed, how would you solicit input from the citizens in your ward?
Just like before, I was available via email or via phone. I think it's important to take the time to listen to and consider all opinions. I just announced my address, so people are welcome to stop by if they'd like. We eat dinner between 5 and 6, so if you wouldn't mind. I'm just kidding. No, I think it's just it's being open and being able to have a conversation and listen to people and support their decisions. Take their decisions into account when taking their opinion into account when making decisions.
Okay, and the last question, when you hear something that concerns you in the town, what steps do you take to investigate the concern? And if determined to be legitimate, what do you do to see that it is resolved?
I think hearing about concerns in the town, I think you go to the people at town hall and you communicate those concerns. And whether it's a concern about a building code, sometimes you have to wait and see what the town attorney has to say about it. I think it's important to be accountable and follow through. And even though I can remember I was asked many questions or presented with many concerns that I didn't have a legitimate answer to, and it wasn't my place to provide an answer. Some of those answers need to come from the town's attorney or other individuals within the town hall. But I think it's important as a council member to follow through and inquire about their questions and try to get an answer for them.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Do you have any questions for us?
Not at this time. My first interview was only 2 questions, I think. What happened?
We got a hold of the Xerox.
This is what I do for a living, so
Yeah, I
you're welcome.
No, they were all good questions, and I really appreciate you guys formulating those questions and taking the time to pick the best candidate. Appreciate it. I do care about this town very much, whoever's sitting in the seat.
Patrick, for the remaining of the meeting, or at least the remainder of the interviews, I'll put you back in the waiting room.
Okay.
You're welcome to wait there or jump off the call, whatever the case is. If you drop off the call when we're done with the interviews, Janelle will touch base with you just to make sure you don't want to be part of the rest, or at least observe the rest of the meeting in terms of the appointments and nominations. So just bear that in mind. But in the meantime, I'll just shoot you over into the waiting room.
Okay, and there's one interview left, correct?
Yes.
One more interview. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks,
you.
Patrick. Okay, are you ready for the next one? We need a stretch break or anything, or are we okay?
Give me 5 minutes.
Okay, very good, no problem. I'm going to pull Mr. Smith in and just make sure that all things are good on his end through the phone. and we'll test him out. Okay, Mr. Smith, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello there. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, we're good.
Awesome. Give us just a moment. Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin just need a quick stretch break. You are our last interview for the evening. They have 16 questions that they will ask you when they come back. You're welcome just to leave your phone off of the mute function so that you can speak freely throughout the interview. We should be back underway here. I would say, sir, probably in another 4 minutes.
Yes, not a problem. I was hoping you held the best for last, but then I realized my name was S-M-I-T-H.
It took us a minute to do the spelling because we had 2 S's, so we had to go to the second letter.
I get it. I'm good.
Wonderful.
I do know that elevator music that was playing in there is, boy, it's in my head now. It won't go away.
Oh, I didn't realize you got music. It must be because you're on the phone, because no one else got music.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the phone, yeah.
Yeah.
Same song over and over again.
Oh, dear.
So how was your holiday?
It was very quiet. It was nice. It was just my wife and our children. We just did our own dinner. So we typically get together. Yeah, we typically get together with my wife's family, and that's just over 20 people altogether. This year, obviously, we called that off and didn't proceed that way. So, but it was all well and fine. We had a great time. So. Okay, I have to remember, Mr. Smith, that you don't have the video options, and so I'll just talk through. You have Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin back with us on the call. Just as a reminder for the council members, Mr. Smith joins us on the phone as a candidate in Ward 1. He is on the phone, so he does not have video. He can't see your motions or anything on the call. So just keep that in mind. If you nod your head at him, he's not going to be able to see it. We'll move along then. Like I said earlier, Mr. Smith, there's 16 questions that the council will alternate in asking, and then once they conclude, they'll give you a chance to ask any questions you have, and then we'll go back into the general meeting. So with that, I'll leave it to Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin.
Good evening, Wally.
Good evening.
Can you go ahead and state your full name and your address for us, please?
It's Wallace Smith, 420 College Street.
Okay, we'll start off with the first question. Why do you feel you should be appointed to serve the vacant council seat? And why are you the best candidate to represent the people of your ward?
Well, I feel like I can bring what you want to say, a unity. I know how to work with people. That doesn't necessarily make me the best candidate, but certainly it's going to make me cooperative. I've been working with people for, in the pastorate for some 26 plus years, and especially learning how to make volunteers, work together nicely. And I'm here to say sometimes that doesn't work, but you do your best. I have no idea if that answered your question, but that's about the best answer I can give you.
Okay, Wally, this is Dempsey here. What is your understanding Hello. What is your understanding of the role of town council and the individual members?
Well, it's to represent the ward, hear about their needs, bring that then to the floor. It is also to help with the fiscal responsibilities. And to be honest with you, outside of that answer, I know really virtually nothing about city government, but that isn't anything I can't learn. I do have the time to do that, and would certainly put that energy toward that end.
What do you hope to accomplish in your time as a council member?
And I really don't have an agenda. I don't have anything to accomplish other than hopefully get the entire council to work together and not have this, if I can just say, the bickering that's been going on in the 2 years that I've lived here. And I think I can bring some of that that unity.
Okay. What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to Stevensville's businesses?
I'm afraid I have no answer for that.
What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns to the Stevensville community?
Well, I do believe that just what I've been going after here, the unity in the council, in order to get the work done in a timely manner. And I think that has been detrimental in some respects. And certainly to alleviate any of these problems that have been going on between staff and council in the past, that's, and if I can say, it's been virtually ridiculous. Now that certainly is priority, needs to put a stop to that. And as I said, I'm certainly one who can work well with others. Don't need to get staff involved in this type of thing. Just work within the rules and the guidelines. I'm sure you have the ethics, which I have not been able to read yet, but all of that information I'm sure would I have at my disposal.
Okay. What experience do you have dealing with large budgets and strategic planning?
I ran churches for the last 26 years. Budgets were fairly high in one of the churches, and in the one that I founded wasn't near as high, but we always ran with fiscal responsibility. And it's quite simple. If you don't have the money, you don't spend it. So I've had quite a bit of experience with budgets.
Just so you know, I usually take a pause. I'm taking notes, so don't think I'm
no problem
forgetting about you. What is your understanding of the budget and the budget process? And are there ways in which you think they can be improved? If so, please explain.
If I have this right, it is the mayor that proposes the budget. Do I have that right? There's a question
Yes.
for you. That's a simple yes. Okay. Well, with that system, then it is the council that overlooks that budget and gives recommendations or votes on the separate clauses, or brings forth arguments, and the council is there to be a aid and a help to the community and to the mayor.
And on to the shortest question, which is probably going to get the longest answer. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
My strengths. I tell you this, I am a man who has this type of integrity. I'm not gonna fool you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am also one that if I say my word is my bond, I'm not a quitter. In no way, shape, or form do I quit. Weaknesses, let's put it this way, the old mind isn't what it used to be 30 years ago. I think we all kind of grow a little weaker there. I may not speak as well as I used to. And I know that to be true, which is one of the reasons why I stepped out of the pulpit and brought in a younger buck, in order to take over the church and all. You find those and discover those weaknesses, and then you do something to alleviate the problem, make it work for you. So, if anything, I have the weakness is that I just don't have the mental capacity that I used to have, but I don't think I've gone as far as some. I don't have Alzheimer's, not clear dementia. I just notice it's slower than it used to be. And all I can say to you folks is that you got this to look forward to. Growing old is not for the faint of heart.
What skills, ability, and/or knowledge do you bring to the table that will help facilitate a positive, productive working relationship between council, the mayor, staff, and the community?
Well, my skills, as I've already said, is working with people and being able to do that. I can do that readily. Why don't you give some of the particulars of that question again? See, the Halfheimers is kicking in again.
The skills, abilities, and knowledge that you bring to the table that would help facilitate a positive, productive working relationship between council, the mayor, staff, and the community.
All right, son. I've kind of pretty well answered that in the other questions here. Once again, it is my background in the, running churches. It is also have a diversified work history early on. I'm sure you guys have read the separate paper I put out there with work experience, and it was rather difficult to remember all of that. And there's even more, but those were the highlights. And with that diversified background and work, it teaches you some lessons. And not all the lessons were positive. And there were certain jobs that I held that were not so positive and had a tendency to go to a young man's head and that type of thing. Had to learn how to outgrow that. But one of the things I think I can bring to this council, once again, is unity and peace with a forward-looking cooperation. There's the key word, cooperation.
How do you work to build a consensus in dealing with divisive issues and resolving conflict?
The best way to do that is one-on-one. Let's go for a cup of coffee. Let's listen to all points. Let's don't go in with a mind that is already closed to the, in other words, what do they used to say? Don't confuse me with the facts. You have to be open, especially working with people and working in the ministry of government, which is exactly what it is. Many government officials are called ministers. So it's much the same, what you see in the church and what you see in the council and in government in general. And so you do that with respect for one another. And with that respect, then you can sit down and come to a mutual agreement, or at least a compromise. And I believe that's kind of what we're all about. Not just trying to ram one ideology down someone else's throat. That's not the way to have community. That leads to anarchy. And we just don't need that. And I mean, we, not necessarily the people of our community here, but we in general in our nation. I hope I could get an amen. There's the church coming out.
We value accountability. If a citizen sent a formal complaint about an interaction with you, how would you handle it?
Through the proper channels. Certainly don't want to air it in the realm of public opinion. That's not the way to do it. But whatever the proper channels are that the city has already set up, well, you work through that way. And then again, if it is something that is true, whatever the allegation might be, well, then you grab a big straw. Speaking of me, you grab a big straw and you suck it up and you go, okay, I messed up. Now let's correct it. My apologies. But then if there's something I can do to correct it, you do it. You don't just sweep it under the rug.
If appointed, what 3 steps would you take to put the town in a firmer financial position?
I have no idea. That's a quick answer. I don't know. I would have to sit down and see all the budgets and all of that first. Say I'd have a lot of homework to do. I would be a very busy man for the next, weeks and months ahead.
The town recently completed a market analysis for economic development research. How do you see this document being used by the town?
Have not read it, don't know anything about it.
Okay. If you are not appointed, what would you do to try to help work on the town's business in a positive, productive way?
Well, anything that that Jamie and I guess it would be Paul, if I'm not appointed, anything that these ward leaders would ask me to do, I would certainly, within my power to do so, I would help. This is the ward I live in. People I seek to represent, but that's just not going to limit it there. I would be open to Mr. Mayor, whatever you would like. If I can be of any assistance, I would be glad to. I put my name in to serve the community, not for some kind of political ambition. That's not it. I've already lived my life enough to have, your accolades. I just don't need any more of that stuff. If that makes any sense to y'all. I've got the t-shirt, you know what I mean?
Yes, I definitely know what you mean there.
If you are appointed, how will you solicit input from the citizens in your ward?
I could solicit it by, if there is a mail where we can put out certainly emails, but if we have a direct mail, I would sure like to use that. Perhaps even fund it. I'm not against that either. I know city budgets are tight on this kind of thing. So mail would be one aspect. Making myself available at, I don't know, door to door if necessary. That's a good thing. Just wanting to meet the folks, be out and about in the downtown area, get to meet the folks that way. You know, first thing I'd want to do is invite you all to, to wherever you would like to go, just to get to know you. I keep saying, Jamie, one of these days we're going to meet in person.
One of these days.
Okay, last question, Wally. Are you ready?
Sure.
When you hear about something that concerns you in the town, what steps do you take to investigate the concern? And if determined to be legitimate, what do you do to see that it is resolved?
Can I bring something up that might be a bit painful and still kind of look at what has happened here to answer this question?
Go ahead.
This whole thing about this recall and everything that you went through, Mr. Mayor. When the door knockers came, and to be honest with you, I was, oh, this is going to be recorded, right?
It is live
I got to
right
be a
now.
little more. Yeah. All right. When all of this came, when the person at the door was telling me what was going on, when certain neighbors were telling me what was going on, it was done in such a way that it sounded believable. But as time went on, and I read more about what you had to say, Mr. Dewey, and reading this in the Star and all, I had to sit back and go, well, wait a minute. What is being purported has been twisted. And that's just not right. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, you did not find a recall sign in my yard. And I think you know where I live in order to find out, who I lived across the street from. So it just really bothered me that it went down in this fashion. We don't do it this way. That's just not the way things should be done. We don't have to act like, and do a lot of, well, I'll just say the word lying. Because that's what politicians like to say, half truth or something like this, but it's a lie. A half truth is a lie. And I feel that's what I was. I was lied to. It wasn't right. And I'm happy it turned out the way it did. But that probably, going off on a tangent here, didn't answer the question. Unless you want to hit me with that one once again.
You want to re-ask the question, Dempsey? Who's asking that?
Yeah, I'll re-ask it again for you. When you hear about something that concerns you in the town, what steps do you take to investigate the concern? And if determined to be legitimate, what do you do to see that it is resolved?
Okay, well, let's put it this way. The steps that were taken in this past, I wouldn't have done it that way. No, there is a council process to do this. And we have to have confidence in the elected officials that they're here to represent the town. They can deal with this. Now, I know that there was a rift between the council and all of this, but to take it to the public in this kind of way, especially distorting the facts, it just was not, it wasn't right. And I guess the only other way to deal with that, again, would be one-on-one. Do like I said I would do if I was caught doing something that was, and I mean, to use the word catch means there's an implication of impropriety, and I don't mean that. But if something had happened that, say I was unaware of and went that route anyway, unadvisedly, and whatever it was, and you know, again, getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar, even though you thought it was okay to take a cookie. Well, you deal with it. You make amends where you can. And if it means that, if it would mean that I would have to, if it was happened to me now, if it meant that I would have to resign, if it was so drastic, well, I guess that's what you'd have to do. But then again, I'm not a quitter. So I don't think I would want to do that. But sometimes if you're doing something that is just so outlandish, the idea is don't do that. Don't do it in the first place. Do your homework. But don't take it to the public like this was taken. It put a bad mark on our community. I chose to live here, you know. We come up, my wife and I had come up to the Bitterroot for several years prior to this. This wasn't just a spur of the moment move for us. And we're invested here. Not only in our home and all, but, you know, now even a business and what have you, have moved the ministries up to this location and all. Now we're invested here, and this is where we're going to die. Pretty sure of that. But we did it on purpose. We love this Bitterroot, and particularly my wife, Kathy, loves this city. She fell in love with it. She called it her Norman Rockwell city, you know. But she loved it. She wanted to live here, and you know how it is, guys. You love your wife. You love where they live. And you want to make it right for them. So that's why we're here, and we're invested. And I want to see this community be the best that it can be. And I'll do what I can to help, whether it's in the council or out of the council. You can bank on that too. So please ask. The answer is yes. Stop.
Thank you, Wally. That was our last question for the night. Did you have any questions for us?
Well, no, not really. I'm just sorry I didn't have better answers for you because I don't know the inner workings of city government. But as I said, that's something I could learn. I'd sit down and, you know, I cram for the test. So I just thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks for interviewing with us this evening. Mr. Smith, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of the participants back into the call, so feel free to remain on the line. The next portion of our meeting is the nomination and appointment of council members to each of the wards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We are back to it. Welcome back to our candidates. It looks like we've got everybody back. Let me just double check here. does Mr. Vick and Ms. Devlin, now that you've had a chance to interview all 4 candidates, the next item of business on your agenda is to make a nomination and appointment to each of those positions. I'm not sure how you want to proceed to that portion of the agenda. If you want to take, knowing it's just shortly after 9 o'clock, if you want to take a quick break to kind of process, digest, review your notes, and then come back and deliberate, or if you're looking to jump right into the deliberations.
I would personally like to be able to just weigh everything in my head for about 5 minutes.
Okay, Ms. Devlin, is that okay with you?
I think that's fine. I think we've got a couple public comments that we can review meanwhile as well.
Very good.
So I think that would be yeah, I like that.
Okay, so watching the clock tick then, keeping all that in mind and giving everyone a fair chance to review what you covered over the last couple hours, why don't we reconvene here at 9:15? That gives you just a little bit over about 7 minutes to review everything, and we'll come back together at that time, and you guys can deliberate and decide how you want to move forward. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, very good. So we will take a quick break till 9:15. The live stream will continue to run, so those of you who are on the call, if you want to shut your cameras off until 9:15, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, just know that those out in YouTube and Facebook land will be watching you if you choose not to. So.
And it just against our liberty and our freedom to participate in our government. It's we, the people, that run this government, and you folks are responsible. Where the town council is together and will workshop on this issue specifically, and they'll discuss what they want to do. Could it happen? If they're under contract, no.
All right. It is 9:15, so we will go ahead and resume the meeting. Town council has come back from interviews of 4 candidates for both the first and second ward, and reached new business. Item A is nomination and appointment of a council member to fill the Ward 1 council vacancy.
I guess I'd just like to start by saying I didn't think that I would join the council and be in a position of having to appoint not just 1, but 2 council members. But here we sit, and I feel very fortunate for all the candidates that that we've had the opportunity to interview tonight. I think the town of Stevensville would be very blessed to have any one of you serve on the council. With that said, these positions are available. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. These positions are open for the next year, with your ability to run in the next election. So I would hope that we would be fortunate enough to see all of your names on that ballot. Moving forward, Mr. Vic, do you have anything that you want to discuss with me, or should we just move with making a motion?
I just wanted to say that all 4 candidates were very impressive. I never thought that back in August of last year, when I first was appointed to this council, that I was going to be put into a situation like this again, or put into the situation of choosing new candidate or our new council. For all 4 of you, I wish you all the best of luck in this. I understand that really we're about to find out in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes, but for those of you that don't make it, don't take this as a reason to stop trying to further your town or your government. Just take it as a stepping stone. This is definitely, for those of you that do not get appointed, this is definitely not a point of failure. This is not something on your part. All Jamie and I are doing here is choosing who we see to be the best fits for the council.
So with that, I would like to move forward after reviewing some public comment and being in this position for the last year, navigating through some, well, actually spending the majority of the year navigating a pandemic, learning how that looks with, you know, town, as well as learning this position. I haven't really gotten to, and I think Dempsey, you could probably, I'm not going to speak for you, but you could probably agree with what I'm going to say. Haven't gotten the opportunity to really delve into the ins and outs of the council position. And I think with that, because of that experience, helping us get on, you know, back on track and moving forward is going to be a big plus. So with that said, I would like to make an motion to appoint Paul Ludington to fill the Ward 1 vacancy.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Devlin and seconded by Mr. Vick to nominate Paul Ludington as the council member to fill the Ward 1 vacancy. Council discussion. All right, we don't have any public comment on the phone, unless there's public comment from the folks that are on the call already. And any public comment we're receiving in real time is automatically going to the town council. So bear that in mind. Okay, there's no comment or from council or otherwise. Ms. Berthoud, did you please call for the vote?
Councilmember Devlin?
Aye.
Councilmember Vick?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Ludington.
Thank you very much.
And just as a point of housekeeping, for the successful candidates tonight, the clerk's office will be in touch with you first thing tomorrow to make arrangements for oath of office, and to get that paperwork all completed so that you're ready to go on the next council meeting. Moving on then to nomination and appointment of a council member to fill the Ward 2 vacancy.
After doing, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead and.
Okay. Looking back to the 2019 election, Mr. Short was a write-in candidate on the ballot, and he was going against Robert Michelson. Robert Michelson won at that time by 92 votes. Patrick Short had 84, so there was 9 difference in that. Total write-in votes was 103, meaning candidate name was written in the place because Mr. Short's name was not on the ballot. With that said, out of those 103 write-ins, Mr. Short got 84, 19 were not assigned. What that means is that they wrote the wrong name on the ballot. The name of Mr. Short was incorrectly spelled, areas of that. That, along with public comment that we've received, tells me that we have heard from the public in wanting Mr. Short in this position. Had we been, I think this is a valid argument when we go back to the 2019 election. Had those write-in, just take the 19 that I'm speaking of, had those been valid, we'd have an argument that Mr. Short would have been elected at that time. Therefore, we would not be in this position that we are now. Because 19 of them fell into the categories that I spoke of, he missed the mark by 9 votes and wasn't elected in. With that said, I feel like that is a strong voice of our constitutes of Ward 2. I have a hard time going against their wishes, as this has been kind of a roller coaster ride, right? We had Mr. Michelson twice now quit. So that, along with what I said in my Ward 1 little spiel, we need some more experience. We have not had the opportunity to delve into and get to know the ins and outs of the town like we should. And at this point, more experience is helpful. So I would make a motion to appoint Patrick Short to Ward 2.
Is there a second?
No second.
Okay. It's been moved by Ms. Devlin and seconded by Mr. Vick to appoint Patrick Short as.
Oh, no second.
No second. Okay. I apologize. I didn't hear the lack of silence. So without a second, the motion fails.
Now, I'm going to speak on this real quick. I understand, Jamie, I understand what you're saying about the election from last year, and that there are some write-in places that, or some write-in votes that didn't really get counted because they were unassigned to a candidate. And I do agree with you that we do need to have experience. And I agree that we also need to have someone that is willing to learn as well in that seat. Last year, I had the pleasure to work with Mr. Short. Mr. Short was, in my opinion, an excellent representative of me. as I'm a citizen of this community, and I served as a representative of him. That being said, I do agree, or going back, I do agree with you that we do need experience. I don't want to utilize my motion in any way, shape, or form to state that I am trying to validate an election from last year. Doing so could invalidate the fact that somebody may not have written Mr. Short in there. It's very possible that those votes didn't even have his name. They could have had Mr. Hendel in there by accident. Could have had, I've seen in places where people write anybody else. That being said, given the experience that I've seen out of Mr. Short, I am going to make a motion to nominate Patrick Short for Ward 2.
Is there a second?
I will. Are you saying that you would like him to be awarded to Ward 2?
Yes.
You want to appoint him to Ward 2?
That is what I'm saying.
Okay, I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Vick and seconded by Ms. Devlin to nominate and appoint Patrick Sherwood as the council member to fill the Ward 2 vacancy. Council discussion. All right, any further comments on the call? I don't see any phone callers in, and like I said, public comments being forwarded to the council. Okay, with that, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Berthoud.
Councilmember Devlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Welcome aboard, Mr. Sherwood, again. And like I said earlier, the clerk's office will be in touch to schedule of office. To the other candidates on the call, we definitely appreciate your time and your willingness to engage in your civic duties here in Stevensville, and to do what you can to make a difference. I appreciate the opportunity to sit in on the interviews because we do have an array of board seats on our auxiliary boards that are vacant, and we're always seeking good candidates to fill those positions. So it's very likely that you receive calls from my office to see if you're interested in any of those seats. And there's a wide array of disciplines: planning and zoning, parks and recreation, airport, you name it, we've got a spot for somebody. So, just maybe look for that call, and we hope to see you guys engage in other ways. With that, we'll move on to the last item of business, new business that is, and that is the approval of an airport land lease for Lot 6, Block 3. The reason this is on tonight's agenda is it was just recently approved by the airport board. It is somewhat time sensitive, where we are seeking to get this kind of wrapped up for the individual's financing, and didn't necessarily want to put this off an additional 10 days for the next council meeting. It includes new lease rates previously adopted by council, and the rest of the information that is pertinent is included in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the land lease.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Vick, seconded by Ms. Devlin to approve the airport land lease. Any council comments? Don't believe there's any public comment. And with that, Ms. Berthoud, please call for the vote.
Councilmember Devlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
Very good, motion passes. All right, that concludes the business portion of tonight's agenda. So the only thing left is adjournment. I think we've covered all the housekeeping details in terms of getting the new council members on board. You will see the clerk's office and myself reach out to all council members collectively to schedule an array of different trainings to kind of get everybody up to speed in preparing for the new year. Your board appointments and that type of business will all be on your December 10th town council meeting agenda. Is there anything from the council for the good of the order? All right, very good. Then with that, we'll adjourn at 9:30. You all have a great evening. Thanks again.